Duma Boko, Bishop. Ule pen. Who's now? Lapang.
Let's pray. Almighty God, we humbly beseech you to bless this council and all who are engaged in the work of local government. Grant that we may order all things in wisdom, righteousness and peace, to the honour of your name and the good of your people who dwell in this city. Amen. Good evening, councillors. Tragically, this past fortnight we have suffered as a city the loss of two of our illustrious sons, Messrs. Lord. And at the commencement I asked that we stand and honour them with a minute's silence. Would you join us, please? May their dear souls rest in peace. Thank you. Councillors and management, this evening I want to, in my opening remarks, come back to what is a common theme, namely water. And I wish to make three very quick remarks in that regard, because the crisis continues, and as we even sit this evening sweltering in this heat, it is a reminder to us of the desperate situation that we are in. The first point I wish to make is that I acknowledge, I think we all do, the resolution in the ZANU-PF conference, which was held in our city just over a week ago. The resolution we must all congratulate ZANU-PF for that, and we look forward to Minister Nube in his forthcoming budget in making provision to complete Guashangani and the pipeline as a matter of urgency. And so we look forward in this coming budget to see provision made of the figures that we have been advised of in our recent visit to Guashangani, namely 48 million US to complete the dam itself, and I think in the coming financial year some US 400 million to get the pipeline done, and we trust that that will be in this year's budget. The second point I wish to make is that we acknowledge with gratitude the visit that Minister Dr. Anxious Masuka made to Nchabez Dam, to Mzungwani Dam, and to the Caesar Dam about 3 weeks ago now. We are grateful for the comments that he made, particularly the comments in which he implored the Ministry of Finance to release the money promised to upgrade the Nchabez pipeline and the Ncisa pipeline. As we know, we have been expecting this money since April, and we're very grateful to Dr. Masuka for identifying that, and we look forward to the Ministry of Finance releasing that money as a matter of urgency so that this work can be done. The second point he made is that he indicated that the procurement procedures need to be expedited. He made that point in his remarks. He said that he would do all in his capacity as minister to see that that procurement process is expedited, and we look forward to that procurement process being done as a matter of urgency, so the rehabilitation works to Nchabez and in Caesar can be completed. The final point I wish to make relates to glass block Bapoma Dam. We have all read in the Chronicle and elsewhere of the visits to the dam site by the Deputy Minister of Water, Honourable Haritatos, and the ministers, during the same visit, the visit to the dam site by Honourable Minister Ndlovu, the provincial minister from Matabililand South. And we acknowledge government's approval for glass block Bapoma Dam, and we look forward to the necessary authorities being granted as a matter of urgency by ZINWA and ZEDA and all the government authorities, so that work on that dam can commence as a matter of urgency. In conclusion, our belief is that if government acts expeditiously, as they've promised to do, that the crisis that we face can be addressed. And so we look forward to that urgent government action. And state, I'm sure, we have this collective undertaking to work as closely as we can to ensure that all of these projects are brought to a conclusion, a satisfactory conclusion, as soon as possible. Thank you. I'll now turn to...
Thank you, Worship. Brothers and mothers to Bulawayo, esteemed guests, ladies, and gentlemen of the media. The legal question being confirmation of minutes of ordinary meeting held on the 2nd of October 2024. Attached is Annexure A. That is A to you. Thank you, Your Worship.
Is there a proposal for that?
Sign the minutes.
Thank you. We move to agenda item 2. The report of the Future Water. Chairman of Future Water. Chairperson.
I move that the report of the Future Water Supplies and Water Action Committee meeting held on the 1st of October 2024 as submitted be received and the various recommendations contained therein be adopted.
We have a seconder for that?
Seconded.
Thank you. Any debate? Councillor?
Thank you, Worship, fellow councillors. I rise to concur with your opening remarks, Your Worship, that the situation regarding, I'm talking about item 1 on the status of water resources. We are not yet out of the woods. We are in serious trouble with the water supply. We have implemented a tighter water shedding program. The city residents continue to toil, they continue to suffer, our mothers, our children, residents in general. It's not getting any better. And when I looked at the report of the Future Water, I was excited to notice that they have got a plan to deal with the immediate, the medium term, and the long term solutions. And I think it is well thought out for Council to come up with those proposals. We need to make sure that our dam projects are pursued in the strongest way possible. We need to make projects that are going to trap surface flow water, also pursue underground, that surface flow and underground water is recharged through rainfall. We also need to perhaps think outside the box and introduce what we have referred to normally in the past as rainwater harvesting. Yes. Can you imagine a Bulawayo that has a gutter and a 10,000 liter JoJo tank on its side? How much water can be harvested during the rainfall? That's a lot of water. Of course, there were issues to say there is asbestosis from the engineering point of view. That water can be poisoned, but look, I think all we need is to educate people, and there are technologies that can be implemented. Surely if there can be technologies that speak to recycling sewage water 20 times in other countries, that is, surely it should be easy for us to treat water that falls off our rooftops so that we can augment our water supplies. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Worship. I'm rising on item 3, alternative water sources. I want to note with appreciation the city's effort in terms of rehabilitating community halls. This will go a long way in assisting communities to have alternative sources of water. In the same breath, Your Worship, allow me to say that in a situation where a community has found a way of drilling a borehole and they need the city to facilitate the process, it should not be a complicated process, Your Worship. A case in point is the community of Baba Fields, which would like to drill a borehole. And they've made it known to the city to come and look at the spot and see if it is okay for drilling to take place, if it is not going to interfere with the city's pipes and so on. But the response from the city is taking too long. So it is my wish that in such instances, as a city, we grab such opportunities with both hands, and we are responsive in such a manner that even those that are assisting that particular community to drill the borehole will still be around and would not have lost patience. Thank you, Your Worship.
I don't know that I can take you've had your bite of the cherry, Councillor.
It's a different item.
Is it a different item?
No, it's the
All right, I'll
item
go to
number
that.
8. Yeah, that is spoke to. It talks about on the alternative water sources. I'm a bit worried, Your Worship, to note that the city has a total of 7 Bowsers. But out of these 7 Bowsers, only 2 are said to be functional, and 5 are down in the workshops. That is worrisome. And when I did a tour as chairperson of the audit and my committee to the council workshops, we found that most of these trucks are grounded. It's all to do with procurement, red tape, bureaucracy. Those trucks are never going to get out of the workshops. So my worry is that can we not come up with a system where we can prioritize all the service trucks? This also then cuts across even water, even sewage treatment plants, the vehicles, and also the workshops, solid waste management. But more importantly, those that service water. We need to prioritize the servicing of those trucks so that these places which are said to be high-lying, which have got water kiosks, can be better served with the alternative sources of water.
If there's no further debate, I just want to make two points. The first is about alternate water sources, and given that these proceedings are filmed, it's important that we recount the meeting that we had with the geological experts and hydrological experts from Botswana, and the need for us to be imploring government to have another look at Nyamandlovu. As we all know, those of us who attended those meetings know that the technology that was used to create the Nyamandlovu aquifer is now 30 years old, and the technology has moved on dramatically since then. There's now the ability to dig boreholes 400 meters deep with a diameter of 80 centimeters, as opposed to the boreholes that are there that are only 120 meters deep and a very narrow diameter. And this is something that we do as a council need to look very closely at in the coming weeks and months, particularly if the rains that we pray for do not come. This may well be our short-term means of dramatically increasing the amount of water that we can get out of Nyamandlovu. That's the first point. The second point, I wish to raise the issue regarding procurement. And Town Clerk, I'm not going to mention the engineer's name, but I had a meeting with one of our engineers this past week. Let be said, not on water, but it deals with procurement. We are facing a major problem regarding procurement because we are putting forward proposals to PRAS that are taking months and months and months to get approval on. And it is delaying a range of work that we need to do. It is delaying work that we need to do, for example, to upgrade water systems in Pumula. It is delaying the completion of the roadworks in George Sirindika. It is also delaying, as you say, the rehabilitation of houses. And unfortunately, this is beyond our own management's control, because we are subject to another authority, and all that we can plead is that that authority deal with our applications as a matter of urgency, because some of these applications are in fact a matter of life and death. If we are unable to provide water to citizens, then that is a matter of life and death. And we urge government, I'm looking into the camera now, we urge government through PRAS to expedite their processing of these procedures. Thank you.
Commenta ku item 3 owe board le kumele ibe khona ePapa Fields. Thina simelele ukuthi umsebenzi lo wenziwe yi-town planning, i-committee ekhokhelwa ngubaba uNetha, lapho uCouncillor a-raise khona issue lela yahlala khona, yiba bakwazi ukukhangela umhlaba, basho ukuthi umhlaba lo uyavuma ukuthi kube le borehole. Then i-water and sanitation department sesibuya after bona sebedlulile. Then the last item inkosi sikhulumile about ama-bowsers kulama processes e-procurement. Ngiyabonga.
Can we move this report? Move. We go to item 4 on the agenda, item 3, the report of the Health, Housing and Education Committee.
I move that the report of the Health, Housing and Education Committee meeting held on the 8th of October 2024 is submitted, be received, and the various recommendations contained therein be adopted.
Thank you. What debate do we have? Councillor Raj. You have the floor, sir. You.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. On item number 21.
Well, let's just see if we've got earlier than that. Is anyone? Thank you, ma'am.
Item 1, street sweeping. Sananzelele ukuthi laba abathanyelayo uward 7 sebangezelelwe ama-routes. Uward 7 mkhulu kakhulu ugcina eThabalala extension. Le 15 kuphela abantu abathanyelayo. Whereas ama-routes abasemaningi kakhulu siyacela ukuthi ngezelele ama-street sweepers uward 7.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Item 1 on waste management, education and enforcement. Also on refuse removal. I'm rising here to record my displeasure, Your Worship, in terms of the operations of this council. Because when we come here as policy makers, we need to be honest with each other. And the part of the duty of the councillors is to make sure that we play an oversight role. We have been making policies, we have been proposing solutions, especially on the issue of cleaning the city, in making sure that the city is always clean. Right now, if you go around the CBD, the city is dirty. If you go around 6th Avenue, 5th Avenue, the city is so dirty. Yet we have standing resolutions that we have made as this council, but we have lacked enforcement. And now we are sitting on this meeting, I think it's the top inaugurated in this office. We have placed a resolution which specifically addresses the issue of waste management. And up to date, nothing is being done. We spoke here in this council to say, let's have a policy, a clear policy, which mandate business people to buy us bills. If you move around the city, nothing is being done. We have put policies to make sure that we strengthen our enforcement. You even employed workers to assist us there. Nothing is being done. So it defeats the whole purpose for us to come here and be sitting making resolutions which are not being implemented. I think it's high time this council must sit down and reflect from the back. We can no longer continue making new resolutions over and over again, yet nothing is being done. Remember, we have a social contract with the people. Our method of existence here depends with the people that elected us. Right now, if you go to Ward 1 up to Ward 29, nothing is being done. Resolutions are there. We've made many resolutions here. The dump site, the illegal dump sites, etc., nothing is being done. And we understand that there's a sickness that is growing in this council, that I would want to term it as a tender entrepreneurship, whereby we deliberately create chaos so that we benefit from it. But it is disadvantaging the citizens which we are serving. So I'm calling upon your worship through your office, a agent council meeting that will be called, where we call all the management team and their committee, especially the committee that is in charge of enforcement, so that they answer on the resolutions that we have given to them, why they are not implemented. Because we cannot keep people in office when they cannot deliver to the services which they are wearing suits and ties every time, making resolutions which we know that people will go sit down and not implement. It's nothing to do with a procurement. It's simple to do with writing a paper and getting the business a community. It's simple to do with enforcing law in the CPT. And we know that there are elements which are benefiting from that chaos. So we are calling that meeting urgently. If there's any worker of ours who is incompetent, then we need to take a resolution, an urgent resolution to make sure that we made as a mayor who is incompetent. You came with the vision of cleaning up the city, move around Kulumane and Keita, Nkanyuni, everywhere. The city is dead. But we have people whom we are paying every month good salary, but they are not doing anything. So I am seriously hurt that this is our 15th meeting. 1.5 years, nothing is being done in this town. In each and every committee, it's not about a procurement. It's about us here failing to offer a leadership which is necessary. So we need that meeting to be set so that we interrogate and we play our oversight role. If there's any worker who is not performing, Then I urge this council to take action. Thank you.
Before, what number?
I'm on the same, in same with the no because cleansing section B, Waste Management, Education and Enforcement. Your Worship, there is a serious correlation between lack of enforcement and the failure to clean the city, because what obtains is that when people are working, the resources have not been pushed enough because the expectation for those people to be there does not exist. Hence, there has not been adequate equipment to be pushed. Example, bins. Your Worship, the failure to control 6th Avenue operators has a direct relationship with the failure to cleanse that section. Because those illegal transport operators operate there until 2000 hours in the evening. When they finish these short route operators, the long distance buses take over, creating all sorts of dirty which cannot even be accumulated into our small bins, even about those who care about the city's cleanliness. That's not my major concern. My major concern is someone must be superintending over this city that continues to be dirty every day. And what are they doing, Your Worship? We are constantly blamed as councillors. If you go to all groups that exist in Bulawayo, you can never hear anyone mentioning the Director of Health, the Director of Housing, the Director of Planning, the Town Clerk. It's all councillors. The poor councillor who's belittled by everyone, including management in this city council. This is why when we pass resolutions, like the councillor rightfully puts it, they are not implemented. And one wonders why, week in, week out, you call us into coming to attend the committees. Attending committees to come and make decisions that are not going to be implemented. So in other words, we are saying, we are only here, Your Worship, to come and fulfill the administrative part of City Council, so that then the management can tick the right boxes in terms of doing the road. We had closed the 6th Avenue, and there was sanity. For no reasons, and nothing explained to this August House. That place was open for abuse again. But like the councillor says, I'm reliably informed that there are criminals who are directly benefiting from that chaos. So it's deliberately created. So for this situation, Your Worship, akusincede, usiseve, as those who are tasked with the responsibility to take action and account for izinto ezenzakala ngale, benza umsebenzi wabo Nkosi, ukuze lathi silamleleke ukuthethiswa ngabantu ngezinto ezenziwa ngabomo, ngabantu abakwaziyo ukuthi khona zilani. Khathesi izulu selisini liyakhiza Nkosi. There is open defecation ku 5th Avenue. All those aisles, you would mistake them for one of the popular streams, that flows untreated sewage. And can you imagine the veggies that are sold there by the people that come overnight to come and sell in Bulawayo? They are spread on the ground. And there is flow from those aisles of the juices of feces from open defecation coming together in contact with the vegetables. Can you imagine the level and the height of cholera that we are exposing ourselves to? Trucks reverse every day there in full glare of everyone, creating space and marking themselves vending bays for makabe, for mpita, for all forms of mpita. They are not claimed, Your Worship, but we are busy claiming abantu abafayo. So enforcement yankhona Nkosi, why is it selective and on a more serious issue where we are bound to lose lives and mass and knowing yeZimbabwe Nkosi, i-health delivery system yalapha hardly copes with anything in the event of an outbreak. Kangakanani your worship kungavela ingozi ye-cholera ngenxa yedoti yengcekeza esemikotweni, eminye imbhida yona lidilivelwa kuleyo mkoto Nkosi, ifakwe emaplastikini yendlala, iyethathwa ibiswe kithi ama-unsuspecting residents esiyabe singayibonanga ukuthi iphuma phezu kwamasimba. Kambe Nkosi, singaba ngama-councillors lo meya onjani ababukela idorobho liphicika lisenze nje kungelanto eyenzakalayo? Kulula yini ukuthi si-act abantu sebebulawa yicholera ngenxa yokuthi siswele proper accounting officers who can take responsibility for their actions? Siyabeloke sivika ngepolitics Nkosi, this thing is politically connected, this thing is politically connected. Kukanti yithi esidlala politics for our strategic self-interest. Sizabulala abantu Nkosi. Saziwe njengabantu abalolunya kule council abehluleka ukwenza izinqumo ezisindisa abantu. Ngiyabonga your worship.
On which clauses? Item 1.
Ngiyabonga Nkosi. Ngifuna ukukhuluma ngama-fire outbreaks, ikakhulukazi leyi esengozi mine. Nkosi, indaba yengozi mine isingani sisihlukumeza kakhulu njengabantu babobulawayo. Isihambe isikhathi eside, ibanga elide. Singananzelela isize isi-affecta abahlali base-Cultural lesemakhandeni. Angikwazi Nkosi ukuthi kathi sizakhuluma ngayo kuze kube nini. Kudala kukhulunywa ngendaba yengozi mine, kumbe sokumele kuze kufa abantu yini ngendaba yengozi mine. Kukhulunywa ngengozi mine, but at the end of the day akulanto eyenziwayo. Bese ngathi njani Nkosi, mhlawumbe kuye kuthi kwelinye lamalanga i-council iyefika engozi mine. Abanye sibone emaphepheni asikaze siyefika, but okulaphana Nkosi kunzima. Imizi elaphana, into enzakala laphana ayisonto right. Khathesi iphindile futhi yatsha ingozi mine. Umpilo laphana asompilo omncane Nkosi. But at the end of the day, instead nxa sokumele sokulomlilo onjalo sokuyadinga inhlabathi ukuthi kuyevala umlilo lwakho. Khathesi sikhangelela izulu. Izulu asiyama-resources ezimoto. Imoto kumele ngabe zithwala inhlabathi zifaka emawadini, but instead zizabe zigijima zisengozi mine. Simile khathesi sisitakile sesilanda isikhathi sokuthi izulu liyana. Kanti Nkosi, inkinga yikuyini ukuthi indaba yengozi mine ilungiswe idlule. Sibona kuvuma ihle ivalwe total. Silungise okunye okungcono ngoba ngendlela ingozi mine enzakala ngayo kubi laphana Nkosi. That's the main concern ukuthi asilungise nini indaba yengozi mine. Abantu be-Cultural lemakhandeni iyabahlukumeza. I-air pollution esilaphana ayisekho right. Ngiyabonga.
Abantu abathengisayo sebethengisa everywhere, anyway. Singakumanaba kathesi elobheni we-old, kuthiwa ipingatheni. Imoto akayihambi, bathengise phakathi komgwaqo, bathengise anyway, everywhere. Sithi kasiswele ukuthi kanti akula abantu abanga-enforce abantu laba, kukhanya abantu abafakwe labangafakanga. Ngoba wonke umuntu osenza umathanda ngokulawa, I think kufanele kube le ndlela ukuthi siphakamele phezulu njengokulawayo.
What item?
Same item, Your Worship, please. Thank you very much, Your Worship. Allow me to say this, Your Worship. Starting with littering in the city, in particular 6th Avenue. We may come here and blame the committee, the management, that they're not working. But if my memory serves me right, Your Worship, I once spoke in this council, maybe it was the previous council, not this one, where I said that littering in Bulawayo is political. There is a certain culture which has been exported into the city. Bulawayo was known as the cleanest city in the world. But it seems a certain culture has taken its toll in the city. The trucks which we see which are coming, they are not coming from Bulawayo. They come from somewhere. I do not mention the areas. So you'll find that in terms of cleanliness and maintaining our city, there's been what we call culture erosion. And we would say the committee is not working, the management is not working. May I mention this? There is need, Your Worship, to engage the political players in this city to make sure we bring back Bulawayo to its glory. We've got our colleagues from ZANU-PF. In as far as 6th Avenue is concerned, Nana Comrade Charuka, Comrade Jablan Sbanda, the minister, all those, they need to be engaged so that there is some semblance of order in 6th Avenue. It's chaotic, the entire city. You would find that the chaos which is spreading into the city is emanating from there. Mayor, town clerk, you sit in the choco. Bring this issue to the attention of the members who sit in the choco. We need to find a common ground, right? With all city stakeholders, political players, and everyone, to say, guys, let's organize our city. If there are colleagues from the ruling party who wants to control the certain part of the city, let it be done orderly. I think it will help us. Because yes, we'll formulate policies here, sound policies, then we point fingers at each other, so-and-so is not working, so-and-so is not doing anything. The issue needs a political solution. And if we are not prepared to take the political solution, we will always scream in this council. Those are my brief submissions, Your Worship. Thank you.
What item then? Which item?
Same item.
Same.
Ngiyabonga ithuba elivile. Ngithe ngisiza ngapha umuntu ongilethileyo unike umlayezo ukuthi ngizobonga Your Worship, especially to you, that they are seeing sort of improvement to the city, but he said they are asking for bins, just the bins, to be put along the street so that those who are careless may dump whatever dirty they will be heavy in the bins. It seems there are no bins along the street. Bese ngibuye ukuthi njalo nxa singama policy makers silile lapho kuzoyenza ama policies esifuna ukuthi benefit uBulawayo. Savumelana singena kulini ukuthi khona izinto zonke asoze sizithathe political. Sisemsebenzini. Asikwenzeni khona vele namuhla. Ngabe ukuthi into zami khona zipolitical. To engage whoever is hindering the cleanliness of the city. Asimlandeli ngasimazi. Ngoba singabe sileke sithi politically lapha. Kwamanye amakhona sibe sizwa sithi omunye umuntu ezitshaya isifuba ethi we are ruling Bulawayo. Where are the powers of ruling in Bulawayo if we can't maintain cleanliness of Bulawayo? Asiyilandeni indaba njengoba. Silande whoever osivalelayo ukuthi sikline uBulawayo. Ma-councillors, asisebenzeni umsebenzi singekho kwezombangazwe. Ngoba sizasifeyilisa sileke sithi sinezombangazwe umbangazwe. Ngiyabonga.
You were 23, weren't you?
21.
21. Any further, anything prior to 18? Okay, Councillor, you have the floor.
Thank you. Ngiyabonga. Eyami asombuzo but I want to relay a message engiyithunywe ngabesithethe. They are watching me now. What they think, particularly part of the map. And very grateful. The effort is lokuwaka 10 projects in 5 years. They are very bayazwisisa futhi this stand still yeproject leyo ukuthi akulama bandithumile izosha ukuthi kuyayenza yini because truly speaking Target, I think, can witness. We told in number one, yeah, what I'm speaking. What I will sell my projects. See, as you see, I see you to Ablama construct a matter. But now, as I speak, I'm actually number one, the sellers. I want to buy the energy, who pay Abla's who is the lady cancel their tenants. Bona, as tenants, they are saying, because kuyayenza yini ukuthi njengoba uyakhala cancel ukuthi awula ukuthi at least sithi thina as tenants njengoba February March siyeke ukubhadala ama bills sithenge izivalo to repair ngithumiwe siyabonga
You will note that recently the Minister of the General Affairs and Devolution, Honorable Matuke, told within their primary school to assess progress made on various capital projects funded through devolution funds. Now, Your Worship, you will recall that this House resolved to grant the city council-run schools authority to approach financial institutions to get loans to fund critical infrastructure or capital projects. Now, which is said to report back that 3 months down the line, that particular resolution has not been implemented. Our schools are still struggling to fund critical capital projects, particularly with regards to buses and other infrastructure projects, which is generally compromising the quality of education that we are offering at our council-run schools. And therefore, this speaks to what Councillor Masham raised and Councillor Moyo raised, that we make resolutions as council, we come up with good policies, but they fail at implementation there. There is no excuse up to now why our officials they fail to implement that resolution. Our schools, they can't be funded their infrastructure projects. They have returned to council and they've been given a road deal. And maybe it's time to ask the committee to account to this house why they failed to implement that resolution, which allows our schools to approach financial institutions for funding for serious capital projects. Secondly, Your Worship, you will note that when we are charging our tuition fees, part of the funds go to textbook levy and part of the funds go to sports levy. It is certain in your worship to note that this is third term, maybe the last month of the last term of the year. Term 2 disbursements have not been made to city council schools, and the committee has not given us valid reasons why that has not been done. And our schools are now in undue financial burden. It is compromising our schools, our education. It is also limiting the kind of extracurricular activities that council-run schools do undergo. And therefore, maybe the committee must explain to the House why they failed to do those things. I thank you, Your Worship.
If there's no further debate, I need to respond regarding some of the issues raised. Firstly, on the broad issue of cleanliness. I tend to agree that there is a political element to this, but we need to qualify that by an understanding that, unfortunately, we can see right across our nation that we have a major problem. We just have to drive on our national roads outside of the city boundaries to see the amount of litter which is along all our roads, right across the country. And it indicates to me that there is something fundamentally wrong, because it's not part of our common culture. It's not part of the culture that Patisa Nyati, the late Patisa Nyati, for example, has elaborated on. And so I don't have an answer for it, but I'm just countering to say, yes, perhaps there's a political element, that political element is having said within the city that we want to have a clean city. Obviously, those who are against our aims can frustrate that by deliberately polluting our city. And we have seen that. I've been greatly disappointed, even by one of our councillors in the small city hall, advocating for lawlessness, saying that people do not have to comply with our vending bylaws or our traffic bylaws. And that breeds a culture of lawlessness. And as I've said right from the beginning of our term of office, we should not be partisan. If we really have the interests of our citizens at heart, when it comes to all of these issues, we cannot allow partisanship to come in. An unclean city, a lawless city, is not in anyone's best interests. And there is a broad political consensus in that regard. None other than President Mnangagwa promotes cleanliness and has had clean-up days. So that indicates right across the political spectrum there is a desire to ensure that we clean up our nation and clean up this city. So this is the first point I make in response. I implore everyone to get behind the nation, and we have to lead. I hear what councillors have been saying about management and so forth. But councillors have to give the direction. And I'm very grateful. Let me tell you, you know in our chat groups how heart-warmed I have. So many of you have been out there picking up litter yourself. And I commend you, those of you who've been doing it. And I don't want to be sexist, but I have to say that our women councillors have dominated that exercise. They've provided superb leadership. And that's where it starts. It has to start with us. That we have to demonstrate that we want a clean city. That's number one. all of us, without exception. Then we do need to tackle the issue of that you've raised. And I know that the town clerk and the chamber secretary have been in JOC meetings. They have raised this issue time and time and time again, that we need the support of the police to enforce our bylaws. The chaos that you speak about at 6th Avenue is real. And it's not just affecting the health of the city, it is actually seriously undermining some major capital projects like Egodini, where Egodini is under threat because of the lawlessness. And that cannot be in our best interest. So we need the Zimbabwe Republic Police. But in that regard, once again, we need to make an appeal to government. I've been, this year I was down in Cape Town with the Somali meeting. When you go to Cape Town, you see throughout Cape Town, for example, municipal police cars, traffic police, City of Cape Town traffic police. And they regulate all the bylaws, and they have powers of arrest. And a major problem that we face is that we've got municipal police, but they have no powers of arrest. They are toothless bulldogs. that is the reality. And so we need the police to assist us, but we also need to get government, we need to plead with government to change that law, to give our municipal police the powers to enforce our bylaws, to arrest and fine. Let me turn to Ngozi Mine. Ngozi Mine is, it is just shameful. When I see the fumes that are being discharged from that, if we did a scientific analysis of those fumes and the effect that those fumes are having on the residents of Cowdrey Park and other areas, we would be shocked. And I implore the town clerk, we know that there is, I'm told, because I've been raising this time and time again, that there is a tender process. That needs to be expedited. We need to have a partnership agreed to as soon as possible for the complete rehabilitation of Ngozi Mine. But we do not have the resources ourselves as a city to get an effective waste management plant. But I know myself personally in the last year that we've had numerous private companies approach us to enter into that process, and the delay is unacceptable. It needs to be expedited so that as soon as possible we get construction of a waste management facility that can stop this eyesore and this shocking health crisis generated by Ngozi Mine. I've heard your comments regarding education and the resolution that we took. I think that part of the problem, I don't want to make excuses, but I think part of the problem is the wider macro environment. It is very difficult for even private companies to get loans in this environment. But that should not be an excuse. If we are responsible in any way for frustrating the implementation of that resolution, then we need to address that. And then finally, coming back full circle to your point, Councillor, you've motivated something today. Take it further. Yes, I agree. We need to understand fully why we are not implementing our bylaws and resolutions when it comes to cleanliness. Madam Chair.
Thank you. I'll first give to my colleague.
Thank you. I want to concur with his worship on the issue of Rosemary. I am in the most unfortunate position of being the councillor of the ward that also includes Rosemary. So you can imagine the situation at my hand. There is a serious emission of smoke from that area. I accept that as the department requires about 955K in terms of funds for procuring sufficient equipment such that the department will be in a good position to be able to manage that site. So the issue of shutting it down and relocating elsewhere will not solve the problem because we'll simply transfer the problem to another area and those complaints will start all over again. So what we need to do at this stage, Your Worship, because we have clearly displayed an inability and incapacitation in terms of managing that site, we need, in the interest of protecting our ratepayers in the surrounding settlements, we need to seriously consider the issue of a partnership with a private player so that we will manage that place and the solution will be sustainable. We will not have such issues coming up again. Because now the problem is that whenever it comes up, we attempt to resolve it. And those are piecemeal efforts which are really not enough. As you rightfully put it, we do not know what is contained in the toxic fumes emanating from that municipal landfill site. And we do not know that those fumes will have on the humans that has been exposed to that unfortunate and uncomfortable scenario. We do not know what we are going to then develop in terms of health complications. So we need to nip this in the bud. We are going to, as a committee, push relentlessly for a sustainable solution in the form that I have outlined. Thank you.
Thank you, Oshie. To the councillors, all your concerns are noted. Maybe to the first complaint from Councillor Watson, the additional state troopers. A study case was done. That's why we give those numbers, but then it's not yet to look at it again. Then to the issue of enforcement. You remember that we recruited just some months ago manpower for security officers, and we're having a challenge of the procurement of the uniforms. So that's the challenge why our security officers we have the problem of the shortage of the manpower. Please bear with us. Issues of procurement. Then on the issue of bins. Bin coverage in the city center is at 56%, and we are working on the difference. Fabrication of the bins is in process. And we will engage the stakeholders. We will follow up. We'll give more information in the next meeting. And the other problem that we are facing on the issue of bins, there is massive vandalism. The more we fabricate, the more they vandalize. So we will not see the difference. That's why people are complaining that there are no bins, but they are being vandalized. I think we should come up with a solution. Maybe we encourage all the residents of the city of Bulawayo to monitor our property, our infrastructure, because those bins, they belong to us. That's the challenge that we're having. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Before we move this, I just for the record want to make one appeal to your committee. As we know, we have ward cleaning teams that are allocated to each councillor. I think the time has come for us to see whether we can't expand the number of those teams. We have so many unemployed young people in this city who are desperate for employment. It must be relatively cheap within the context of our budget. And I think that the committee needs to investigate that to see whether we can't increase the number of young people who are employed to clean. But can we move this report?
Right, we go to item 4, report of the environmental management engineering.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that the report of the Environmental Management and Engineering Services Committee, meeting held on the 4th of October 2024, as submitted, be received, and the various recommendations contained therein be adopted. Thank you.
Second. Debate.
Item 3.
Sorry, item?
Item 3.
Is there any earlier than that?
1.
Okay, 1.
2.
Somebody said 1.
On item 1.5, ambulances. Can I ask the committee, what's the response time of the in terms of farmer calls? When someone is calling, what time do you expect to before you ring for example, I'm going to ambulance and last week, there are some resident pregnant woman that is in labor. I called 3 times. Before the cell phone number, last 2 minutes, I WhatsApp notice group, number councillors. I called 3 times, only to be answered the attendant's phone. Jalo will tell a the staff. You cannot have images services before the 40 attendant. You don't even know on the other side the images any live they are.
3, 2.
Before item 2, Your Worship.
Sorry?
I'm on item 1.
Please, you have the floor.
Thank you. Just on Monday, when I was driving from market, I saw behind a flat, there was a fire outbreak. And the smoke that was coming out of it was something else, Your Worship. So I don't know if there is a fine for people, for people who start fires behind their houses or their places. Because now, because of our failure to collect the waste, now people are starting to burn the dirt. So now, where they are burning it, there is a garage next to the flat that was burning. And there are several flats to the place. And I don't know if it was reported, but I felt like people should be fined for just starting fires anyway and any time. Or maybe we should also improve on our waste collection to avoid people burning that dirt. Thank you, Your Worship.
2.
Item 2 is water distribution. Isikhala sami Nkosi, isikhala sezakhamuzi zabokawa. Siyabheka amabhawuza kuma-funerals. Ibhawuza iyabuya i-funeral abantu sebevela eTurumazi kuyangqa. Uthi ukuza uzothwala imota ayafiwe counseling oemployiweyo ukuthi ezoseva izakhamizi obuye emsebenzini na. Uthi uyabuza kumbe utshele from one office airtime etesiphiwa iziphele nge-one day uzama ukucela uncedo lwe-water based pipe. Kuthathe njalo over a month ba. So sicela i-department management i-department A sibe serious ngoba izakhamizi nxa ungazitshela ukuthi bathe imota ayelamoya evilini ngama-answers esibatholayo bekutshela ukuthi impompa evili is-25 and then uzothola imota bayithi ezinye ama-answers elisinika wona sizatshela izakhamizi sibuyela zona. Cela uncedo icela amanzi abasho ukuthi khona bacele ithi yi-last solution yabo and let's help them. Let's try to push issuwe ibe khona ibe accessible for the residents.
Right, lots of hands. We're on 2.
22.
3. Any 2? 2.
22. Thank you, Your Worship. I want to rise on the same item of water distribution. I have brought this to this forum before. I am dismayed as the Councillor for Ward 2. My issue still remains unresolved. I spoke about sections of the ward which have not received water since December. Some of them stretch longer than that. And this issue was taken up, and I was given a promise tentatively, which was a solution of that situation by September. But was still in the same predicament, and regrettably, the backup system in the form of our browsers is ineffective. Number one, because sometimes we get these excuses of a faulty starter and something along those lines, and other times the browser team does get to the community, but it has been expressed over and over again that those charged with delivering water in those browsers do it in bad faith. So it does not benefit the intended recipients because the browser teams are enticed with various offers of little trinkets, which then cause them to divert water maybe to one or two or a few selected households who offer them whatever it is that is used to entice. So the browser system is ineffective, Your Worship. It is as good as not having deployed the browser. So I request Your Worship that you have a sit down with the town clerk, and then maybe he can sit down with his team and get to the bottom of this. Because, Your Worship, it is embarrassing to keep bringing the same issue over and over again, especially where you know it's an issue that can easily be dealt with, especially in terms of instructing and monitoring the water delivery teams to deliver water in a transparent manner. There are bigger problems that we are grappling with, and I think the problem of water delivery should not be on our table at all. But I also urge you to look into this issue of high-lying areas. There are no less residents of our beloved city, and when we neglect them, it then becomes a dereliction of responsibility, Your Worship. I thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. Ngizakhuluma kusame item because nanzelela ukuthi i-water and sanitation edorobheni lethu Bulawayo ithwalise nzima abahlali. abanikazi bakabulawayo. Bengikhangelele ukuthi inkosi nxa i-finance department ingananzeleli ukuthi nxa be-prioritize abakhangela izinto ze-water and sanitation. Mina ngikhulumela izakhamizi zika-Ward 17 ezindlulileyo ngoba sithe zifuna ukumbona ngikhuluma. Indawo ezikuhigh-lying area azithola amanzi. Kuyahlala 2 months, 4 months kwezinye indawo. Nkosi thina sifisa ukuthi i-department le-water and sanitation ithole ama-resources aneleyo. Ngoba thina esikufunayo ukuthi abantu abaku-high-lying area sithole laba amanzi. Nxa kusitsho ukuthi sithole amanzi kanye ngenyanga, kasiwathole sonke esibu-Ward 17. Kungabi ukuthi abanye siyathola every week, abanye kabatholi. Akusiphilisi ukuthi esingubulawayo, akusiphilisi ukuthi esiyiphumula. Ngakho silohlupho olukhulu, sicela ukuthi i-finance department ikhangele ukuthi ama-priorities wonke bake banye bakhangele i-water and sanitation. Sifisa ukuthi uBulawayo wonke abantu abakuma-high-lying areas bathola amanzi ngokufanayo. Akula muntu oqakathekileyo ngongaqakathekanga. Sonke amanzi ayenecessity. Sifisa umuntu wonke wakuBulawayo athola amanzi. Nxa kusitsho ukuthi sonke sithola once a month, asiwatholeni once a month. Ngokuhlupho lokuthi abanye bathola abanye bangatholi, ungani abanye sebeqakathekile abanye abaqakathekanga. Kuyasidivide as a community. Sicela kukhangele ku-prioritize imali ekhona kukhansila ikhangele izinto zamanzi.
Item 2.
22.
Are we still on 3?
Item 2, boss. Your worship, mina ngiyathemba ukuthi inkundla yakhumbula ukuthi kusukela ngiqala ekhansilini bengikhala ngendaba yamanzi ku-Ward 3. Bangcono okhansila baka-Ward 17 loka-Ward 2 nkosi bakhuluma ngoDisemba. eWoodville sile minyaka kungafika amanzi nkosi. Iminyaka ngabe sise church ngabe sikhuluma ukuthi izinkulungwane zeBhayibhelini seminyaka. Manje njengoba sise councilini angazi ukuthi ngibize ngithini ngangicelile through the accounting officer utown clerk sahlala phansi sobabili savumelana. Thina ngale your worship we have water reservoirs. Thanks because the community has been elite before it was downgraded by city council to the periphery of service delivery and the junkie that it has now become, which when you approach it looks like an abandoned farm, or which looks like a farm that has been occupied by my uncles. My request to your worship was that, which we had agreed with the town clerk in engagement with the director engineering, was that given that the area was high and the challenge with the water was bad, we had agreed that although not in writing, the issue of our reservoirs would be looked in, so that at least we could open up the collapsed channel of water or use the new pipeline which was set to serve Woodville 2nd and 1st Avenue, which is a new development. So that request to use that pipeline to get the people of that area access water had seemingly gained traction. Maybe until I became unpopular in council and people decided not to service my ward. Your worship, I am requesting through you, as the accounting officer of in council, as the mayor of the city of Bulawayo, that can we look into the issue of resuscitating our reservoirs in Woodville, and then use the new pipeline to the reservoirs. Then water can be pumped from those reservoirs, because the system was very effective when it was being used. And it can service the whole of Woodville, North Woodville Park. It can also assist the new construction with water, because those reservoirs are very big. I am not privy with the reasons why they were discontinued. Perhaps there are very strong and valid reasons, but until there's an inspection and you are told why, we will continue to speculate. So this is my humble request that as an elected servant of the people of Ward 3, may I also be granted the ear and also the follow-up to implement my request in other wards, especially with water, like Councillor Moyo aptly puts it, that it then relegates other citizens to the periphery in terms of the order of hierarchy, in terms of who obtains water and who doesn't. If you look at the rankings in Ward 3, we contribute fairly to rates. I think we're number 3 or number 4. So it means we also take responsibility in owning up to our party as it comes to paying land rates and our rentals, your worship. So therefore we deserve to get waters. The other issue, we have city council boreholes in Woodville, which are evidently known, but they have since been fenced by certain residents. Can we have the department responsible going around and identifying those boreholes and getting the residents to open up those boreholes that can be accessed by the residents for use in this situation where we hardly have water? Your worship, I want to believe that just like the rest of the residents believe in you, that you are a competent leader who's not going to be selective in applying who's going to diligently apply himself fairly and equitably in terms of ensuring that every councillor that brings about a request is served. I have requested boreholes to be repaired in my ward. None of them have been repaired, but others have had boreholes repaired, they break down and they've been repaired again. So I don't know whether this is deliberate attempt to ensure that I become a useless councillor in my ward, or it is a calculated misfortune that falls me as the councillor of Ward 3. But the fact that I've said it to your worship, I want to believe, like you said, that you are non-sexist, you are non-discriminatory, that I am not going to be a victim of the same circumstances that I'm going through in terms of requesting for the services that I am rightfully, that are rightfully bestowed on me, and as the representative of, as the number 1 of Ward 3, I have the right to request those things and get them, just like all the other councillors do. So can I also be considered, your worship? My ward has been neglected in many areas. Thank you.
Let me just exercise my prerogative at this juncture. I'm not stopping debate, but I just want to tackle this issue. Councillor, I want to assure you that from my perspective, you're not being discriminated against. I think that the problem is that there are problems in all 29 wards. But we mustn't focus on the problems. I want to give the practical example of Councillor Sibanda, Ward 27 in Pumula. She, like you, has been concerned about an issue, and she bugged me for weeks and months to get me to come and see for myself. I did go, and as a result of that, we had a very constructive meeting yesterday with Engineer Nube and Engineer Sibanda. I'm using this as an example. In Pumula, there is a section of 49 houses that hasn't had water for 2 years. They haven't had a drop of water for 2 years. And there's a particular engineering solution to address that issue. In speaking to Engineer Nube and Engineer Sibanda, it's clear that they are conscious of the problems right across the city, but they don't have the resources to tackle all the problems. And so what we need to do in Ward 3 But I believe in every single one of the 29 wards. If I look at my own ward in Ward 4, there are two areas. There's an area near Criterion, Munda Drive, that doesn't get water, and there's an area up on Circular Drive. Two isolated areas that are problem areas. And I suspect that every single councillor has those particular problem areas in their ward. And I think what we need to do, rather than feel that we are being discriminated against, I implore councillors in every single ward to identify the major problems in their ward. We're not going to be able to, we simply don't have the resources to deal. You know, I've heard what you say, councillor, about high elevation areas. It's a major problem. But even in those high elevation areas, there are people who get water every few weeks. In Pumula, that block of 49 houses literally had not had water for 2 years. And so we've got to approach this in a logical, sequential way. I think every councillor needs to identify their major problem areas. And then we've got to come alongside with the town clerk and the engineering department to see, can we mobilize the resources? What can we do to ensure equity right across the city within the context of our resources? It's just a first step in trying to tackle the worst problems in each ward. But I'm sure there's more debate. What item?
I wanted to comment on item 3, but can you say something on item 2? On water distribution. Your worship, I think we should all agree as a security. The ZESA is no longer the ZESA that we used to know in terms of the organized electricity. On several occasions, I have phoned the engineers because I also have problem areas, highline areas in the ward. And I've been told on several occasions that for as long as we don't have electricity, it's difficult for us to pump water so that you can get water in your highline areas. So I had a proposal, Your Worship. I know in our plans for next year we talked about getting solar systems to make sure to help in pumping water and also lights for ourselves. But I was thinking that considering the situation that we find ourselves in, the ZES are going for 15 hours and in some cases for even 24 hours, I think we also need to speed up this process of getting solar systems so that maybe we try to pump water using solar other than depending on ZESA. Because some of the pumps, for example, if you are to go to Makubu Reservoir, they are not very big pumps. I'm sure if you are to put a solar system, they are not so sure about the kilowatts or the kilowatts that you might need, but I'm quite sure that using a solar system, we are able to pump water so that even the surrounding areas, especially those island areas, they get water. And also, I'm not an engineer, Your Worship, but I also have a proposal to say, I know a number of areas here in our city rely on gravity as a way of pumping water or delivering water to our residential areas. I also wanted to propose that most of these areas which are not getting water, it's also because once our levels are low, this is also the inspiration that I've been getting from the engineers. Once the levels are low in our reservoirs, some of these areas do not get water. So I wanted to propose, what is it not also possible that we get booster pumps along the way and along the pipeline, so that those areas which are highline areas can get water because there will be enough pressure and just because of the pumps. Like I said, I'm not an engineer, but these are some of the proposals that I was just trying to put forward. Then going to item number 3, the issue of sewer. I have on several occasions worship on the engineers and our plumbers, and I'm very much worried to say to this house, I've been getting answers which might sound lame, but which are also very serious and also affecting the service delivery. because most of these plumbers are actually telling us that we now have a serious challenge in terms of getting those roads that they use when they are trying to detour our sewer system. And the problem goes to when they are talking, they are saying they are not. They tried to get the resources through the procurement board, and up to now they have not been able to get just those roads to make sure that they can actually deliver the service. Your Worship, talking as a councillor and also talking as a politician, I'm bound to think that this issue is now beyond just being an issue, a procurement affair. But I also feel like we are being supported as a city, because we've got so many projects now which are not even moving. Like you said, the roads. I even at some point requested for an excavator in my ward so that we can open. There's an area which is with a problem with the sewer. And the sewer is now looking at that area, and the houses are no longer accessible. So we needed something to dig so that at least we can remove those people. And the answer that they continuously get is that we are not able to get excavator will be that, what we call the JCP. And whenever you ask, they will tell you, we have made our request and the procurement board has not granted the permission. This is also why we also find even the residents and even the politicians talking about devolution. Because we cannot have a central system which then stops developing the whole country in the name of doing things in a proper way. Is that the proper way? City is brought to a standstill just because someone is just feeling like we don't have to approve this. You apply today for something that you need urgently, and it's approved after 5 months. There's no longer a sense of urgency, and people are suffering. So I think we have to say this loudly, as in also as politicians across the political divide, to say whoever is responsible with this price thing, they should do things knowing that we are saving the people. We are not doing this to save ourselves. So I just thought maybe we should mention that, because now we have a serious challenge: sewer, water, and all the things are pointing to price. And in as much as we might want our engineers and our workers to do service, we are not asking for money from the government, we are just asking for approval. Yeah. And they should respect that. Yeah. So this is my contribution. Thank you.
Ngiyabonga Nkosi. Mina ngithunywe Bulawayo. Bathe Nkosi uze ukuthi ngiyake ngihambele yini kuphela ngoba uBulawayo uyaphila. Sikhuluma sinje namhlanje ngingena eBulawayo. Ngamanzi kodwa besonto bebhiziniswa kodwa isuka. Yebo siyakwazi ukuthi maybe sithi akulamanzi koBulawayo. But nasibheka kumawasi lapho sivela khona silamadeni zokuthi namhla amanzi awini isuwa yikho lapho ephuma khona. Kunjani ukuthi nxa sikwazi ukuthi namhla amanzi aphuma kuwadi 27 imota zisuwa zihlale zilindile zikhona ngale, kanti ukuthi sihlale abantu behlala phakathi bedoti angazi ukuthi omunye uze wathi ukuthi sike sabona isileki kwakulokunyukile isikhathi sokuthi abazabona ngani ku-right ukuhlala kuphiloti. Namhlanje sokufundisa sikuthi uyaprofita sokufikile namhlanje. So bathi ngibabuzile babaneya ukuthi udake nifike ihambe neyini kuphela just kuphela bangabhodi emalokishini asakhulumi bacela uncedo ngesuwa ngoba isibakhathazile abantu especially like ezikolo. Mina ngilevili ngesikole Makani primary. Isuwa ingekho amatitsha ahamba ngoba abantwana bayahamba. So khona ngamsenzakala esikole what about kwezinye indawo ngasosikolo but siyasishilo ukuthi nxa kulokunzima ezintweni ezinjalo phakathi kwesikolo kumbe ema-township i-department kayigijime iyekhangela amasini. Siyayenza amabhajeti ethu sibuze ukuthi khona let's say ku-ambulance kuthatha isikhathi esinganani ngoba bekutshela ukuthi vele is 15 minutes ukuthi ifike ku-point. Kodwa isuwa kasitshela ukuthi vele akumelanga uthole ilanga mara kodwa thina sihlala iviki siphakathi kwisuwa sicela uncedo khonapho. Ngiyabonga.
I'll allow you to get back to
Isikhalazo khoza ngiqale ngingena la last year ngesikhalazo sifana nayo manje kathesi sokubuye ukuthi imithombo yena le enziwayo eyinye yakhona kayiselayo izakhamuzi kazitholi amanzi kuze naleso sigaba lokho engikhuluma ngithenjisa ukuthi hayi khansila sizabuya sizobona ngamehlo imithombo leyo kodwa hayi abadala kabasukuni sengisithi kumbe mhlawumbe engikukhulumayo akuzwakali kumbe nxa ngikhuluma mina kumele ngingakhulumi anisakwazi ukuthi ngithini ngoba luhlupho enhlangane lalo engibhekene lalo mihla ngemihla ngoba abantwana kulabantwana akulamanzi ku billing system ku water consumption bayabhila abantu benkosi babuye bekhala kimi bethi akhangela nini mama silemthombo and exactly kulemthombo into engiyikhulumayo asiyomthombo emihle okungangukuthi umuntu engawela lapha bazagqibela asoze bethi kulomuntu oweleyo ngikhuluma ngemthombo esezindlini hathi umthombo ophandle ngithe ngingena ngithole kunjalo kathesi babe bhobozile ilitshe sebephinde bangeza futhi ukutshona khona okuya kodwa lokho ngisi ukuthi ngithini ngoba ngabadala ngabantu balesidingo sokuthi bethola amanzi sowuze kwafika kusimo lesi sesikhona kathesi ngazama ukucela iwater queue sithi kumbe babafakele kawani kumbe noma bengafaka bemabili ngezigaba ngezigaba but isigaba lasenayiso siserious ukwedlula ezinye ngoba ezinye izigaba yekazi wathole kodwa kwesinye isikhathi ayakaphume kancenyane pho sengiyakhulumeka ngizwakali ngicela linginanzelele khona lapho kuleso sigaba sena leso ngesuka ku item 3 inkosi ngithemba lithe lisiya libonile ku quadruped 10 is ongoing thing ehlala ikhona ayitshintshi bangalungisa lamuhla kungahlala only 1 week kuya affecta kakhulu abantu abahlala eduzane khona phana kunye lenkambeni uyabathwalisa mzini ngibe sengisithi endabeni futhi yamanzi ngile youth center i-youth center ile bowl kodwa ayilamanzi ile jojo tank ayithola amanzi bathi wabloka ngabuza bathi vele sokulesikhathi mama siyareporta kodwa kunjani abarespond abantu benkosi abantwana bamele beyenze ama-activities abo khona pha kodwa kuyehlula ngenxa yani akulamanzi ngicela linginanzelele ngicela njalo lingivumele ngiyehluke kancane ngoba ngihle ngihlale ka-1 sengiqedile konke engumumetheli ngilo daba lwe-cemetery angazi umtshini osugebha kathesi abadala bayakhala amagodi kasagcwali inhlabathi ayatshona kakhulu njalo abanzi ngicela likunanzelele khona lokho lithathe inyathelo
correct gogo item 22
Councillor, Councillor, you wanted to speak. What item? What item?
Item 3 on sewer. Yabonga Nkosi lithuba ngiyelona khona kusikhuluma ngesuwa inanzelela ukuthi what 7 ugcwele amandla isikhathi esiningi umasuwa nxa uplamba khathesi njengalizelwa isuwa dise-engine garage uplamba engafiki uthola ukuthi bekugcwele ama-scrap abantu abama-industry bajikela ama-scrap kumasuwa ethu mina nesicelo sokuthi mina le-city council staff sike sibavakatshele abantu bama-industry hambe sibabonisa ngokuthi bajikela izinto kumasuwa ethu kokwenza ukuthi nokuba namasuwa blockages yabo.
We're on item 3. Anyone else?
Move.
Item 3.
Move the report, Mayor.
No. Item 23.
Item 11.
7.
Item 11.
You can
ku-item 11 ngama-environmental issue. Ngosi sikhangela thina ePhumula South kuward 17 ngani. Siyaqhubeka silohlupho lwendwangu. Okokuthi sezisithwalise enzima. Khathi siloku isikhathi sezulu asilama-asbestos. Sebulela ama-asbestos ziyathatha izinto ezindlini. Izithelo izihlahla zethu izithelo eziphansi akuselani. Sike sahlala phansi abe-national parks sizama ukubonisana nendwangu lezi. Uthola ukuthi thina bekhansili sihamba sezethu selasidubula ngobhuku. Abe-national parks bathi indwangu ziqakathekile akulelanga zibulawa. So ole problem ohlala endaweni yomunye ngubani. Thina abantu kumbe zindwangu. Kule problem yomthetho we-national owethu phansi. So indwangu lezi sizazenzani ngoba khathesi sikhuluma zikhona khathesi singahambi makuzo. Abantu sebethole awusela ama-vendors akwazi ukuthengisa ngoba ziyathatha impahla abazithengisayo. Nxa uvele emagrosi uthwele igrosari nxa uwedwa ziyakukhulela zikuthathe. Sicela ukuthi likunanzelele njalo likhangele lamahhovisi aphezulu ukuthi likhulumisana njani ukuthi indwangu sezisithwalise enzima kodwa kuthiwa ziqakathekile kulayo azivele engazibulawa.
Item 22 okhuluma ngama-tower lights. Yisicelo Nkosi lomkhandlo wakho weCouncil ukuba ngakuyavuma siconsider ama-solar tower lights ngomumo esesilawo phakathi nakwelizwe okagetsi. Siyananzelela ukuthi emalokitshini kakhulu lapho eyikhothini esakhethwa khona ngapha ebusuku lapho yehla khona ama-bus stop akhatshana lezi ndlela. Nxa sokumnyama ubugebengu buyanda, abantu bayalimala, abantu bayafa. Mhlawumbe masingaconsider ukuthi sifaka ama-solar tower lights ngoba uzesa thina kasilamandla over akuzesa. Ngiphinde ngithi khonapho ngithe ngibala ireport yama-tower lights. Ilihlo lami lisuke lakhangwa yibugebengu osobukhona. Bakhulumile amanye amakhansila phambilini ukuthi koBulawayo sokukompunze edlemini. Sokumazi yenzela. Mhlawumbe ubugebengu obuku 6 Avenue thina esehluleka ukubunqabela abantu sebebona nje usungayenza loba yini ngoBulawayo sobubuya buchithekele emalokitshini. Ngicebisa ukuthi ngezindawo lama spaces esihlala kuwo asikhuthaze nini ukuthi uthango lungadli amakhomane. Yes. Abadala ilapha ngizama ukuthi abadala izakhamizi okufanele ukuthi sigcine iproperty ka city council yithi esesibuya siyivandalize. Ngiyangizwisisa lapha engiyakhona. Ama-tower lights amaningi lapha ngithengi ilihlo lami likhangwe ukuthi gawa asetshontsha ama-cables asetshontshe lokho asetshontshe lokho. Kusenziwa yizakhamizi zethu sonke sithi zisithumile lapha. Asibuyele nini futhi siyezitshela ukuthi uCouncil yivo iproperty abayitshontshayo ngeyabo. Ngakho ke uthango ludla amakhomane. Ngiyabonga Nkosi.
What item? Sorry, public lighting.
Okunye besikucela Nkosi i-department le-council izakhamizi ziyabe zifisa ukuthi zizifakele ama-solar lights but ama-processes elibatshela bona bezenzela nemali zabo asuka sithwalise nzima ngoba ubugebengu bulanda izakhamizi abulandi isithupha. Abulandi abasebenza imali ekhona la. Sile problem yona leyo ukuthi siyayenza indlela zokuthi sidinga ukuthi sizilungisele ngoba ku-affecta thina ukuthi akulama lights. Sesifuna ama-solar lights sesidinga imali. kube sokusiba lama-process anganasikhathi kahle.
Move the report, Your Worship.
Can we have a response from the chair?
What?
Thank you very much, Your Worship. I'll try to respond to the best of my ability. First, I'll start by responding to Councillor Hlanga. He spoke of the response time regarding fire and ambulance. On this one, I'll try to liaise with the Chamber Secretary and the Chief Fire Officer. Also, Councillor Maveza spoke on burning litter. It is an offense, Councillor Maveza, to burn litter. If you see anyone burning litter, please try and maybe take a pic of that person as evidence and bring it forth to the... Then Councillor Zijka and Councillor Moyo spoke on Bowsers and water-based. Your Worship, we have 2 water Bowsers and we are having challenges with procurement. We have requested procurement of about 4 to 5 Bowsers. This is still at procurement stage. As for Trines, we are still waiting for the water materials and pipes. It's also being held by PRAS. Then Councillor Matsana spoke of high-lying areas. For high-lying areas, Your Worship, you know that Council has no funds, but we are trying to secure funds through NGOs. We have managed to engage engineers without borders, and we are negotiating for funds to assist Pumla South in Gwalongalo area. We wish we could get funds to assist, get funds to the rest of high-lying areas. And then for Councillor Matlang, we spoke of old reservoirs in Woodville. Yeah, we have done some assessments and cost assessments and estimates to improve this system, and we need a budget in excess of about $1 to $1.5 million. Then lastly but not least, for Councillor Kumete, we have noted what you said, Councillor. Then for Councillor Kalazani and Councillor Screw on the issue of tower lights, I would like to urge our councillors to make use of their water retention funds and try and put and try and use that fund to put what.
On to the issue regarding the sewage pipes, the unblockers.
What? Oh, on the issue of roads.
No, yeah, roads. That is also a procurement.
Okay, it's a procurement issue where we are running out of stock, Your Worship. So you see the problem with our price and stuff. So
we have applied to PROS and have not received the response on those roads.
Yeah.
Because they can't be expensive.
They are not.
Thank you. Can we move the report?
Move the report. Move the next report.
Director, Chair of Townlands. Bear in mind that it's 6:15. I don't want to start the debate, but we need to move things on.
All right.
I move that the report of the Townlands and Planning Committee meeting held on the 15th of October 2024 is submitted and be received, and the various recommendations adopted.
We have a second. Thank you. Debate.
Move.
No, yes.
In which we have to propose?
Item 16. Is it anyone before 16?
Yes, item 15. Thank you, Your Worship. I noticed that there is a proposed partnership between City Council and Frederick Engelbert Stiftang in order to seek a preparation for an SMEs policy, and which is going to possibly deal with the menace that we face today in the city of Bulawayo. We've always talked about the congestion in 6th Avenue and 5th Avenue, but I want to comment that one. But however, we had a partnership with the DCA, which attempted to decongest the Bulawayo by putting up a fresh farm vegetable market in Kulumani, for those who know the intersection of Masia Pambil and Cameron. And that project risks being a white elephant. Why am I saying that? Because it appears that the City Council needs to do final touches for it to be completed. This partner came up with the funding and they put up a magnificent structure so that all the farmers could come there, deliver their produce and sell to the public. But I think we risk setting a dangerous example to our partners who come up here and put up projects which we then fail to put final touches so that they can be functional and be up and running. So I want to call upon this council to be much more serious with people who volunteer and give us the funding so that we can arrest what is a conundrum and a serious challenge within the city of Bulawayo.
Ngiyabonga Nkosi. Ukujula sithupha sithanda ukuthi sichayele umnyango ihlombe ngokuphuma le master plan entsha yedolobho nokuba phakathi komsebenzi wokuyenza ama local development plan lama local subject plans okutshengisa ukuthi i-department yenze singathi i-visionary planning for i-growth yedolobho labo Bulawayo. I think it says the yedolobho labo Bulawayo. Esikufisayo Nkosi ukuthi sengathi lawa ama-plans apublicizwe afike ebantwini abaningi. Njalo sicela ukuthi siyakwazi ukuthi umhlaba ongaphansi kwezandla zikakhansili sumlutshwane kakhulu. Umhlaba omningi usezandleni zabantu ama-private individuals, omnye umhlaba ku-government. In line with these plans, siyaphila Nkosi ukuthi labo bangumhlaba for speculative purposes, labo bangumhlaba bengela capacity yokudevelop, they must go into a partnership bawu-release idolobho labo Bulawayo likhule lisiya phambili in line with ama-revised plans lawa ayenziwa ngumnyango we-town planning. Otherwise siyabonga kakhulu ukuthi umnyango uthethe initiative yokurevisa ama-master plans lama-local subject plans. Ngiyabonga Nkosi.
Any more debates?
Ngumuca wesibili Nkosi.
You want to take us back? Very briefly.
Thank you so much. I'm realizing that there was a motion from Councillor Moyo, which speaks of a certain company trying to construct a range for cross-border buses. We fully support that motion, but also the reasons of the motion, they have to say there's an already establishment of eco-itinerary which is supposed to cater for facilities of buses which would be then being a cross-border. But I'm realizing that on item 6.7 there are certain companies of buses which were then approved to rank on a specific designated places which are not eco-itinerary, whereas the motion is trying to bring order by saying no, every bus, because we've already established a rank, every bus must be rank there. So I think there's a contradiction in terms of our approach in this submission and motion. If we were to base on, say, we create a 5-star bus terminal for cross-border buses and for local community buses, I don't see any reason why we should approve other bus stations like Revival, etc. to rank in certain places in the CBD, because I think we need to create a conflict of approach in terms of things that we want to achieve in trying to create order, especially Emma Pasindawa, Akuma Elizabeth. So I would like to support this motion fully, but also to align especially items 6 and 7, that these buses, instead they must go to a rank which we all agree in this motion that it was set to house buses which are doing intercity and cross-border. Instead, I think is contradictory on ourselves. So I'm supporting the motion, but realigning with item 6 and 7 to say if what that everything will be our bus related to every company that will also apply to rank their buses anyway in the city. Thank you.
Councillor, I gave you an indulgence to go back, but in fact what you've done is you've opened up a large issue that cannot be dealt with any justice now, in my view. So I think we either have to move this to committee, but I don't think that we can do this justice now. That there is considerable debate on either side of this. Can we move it to committee?
No, there's no. This is the only one who raised the objection. Because my point is, I'm the member of the committee ownership. We cannot go forward and backwards. Those 3 buses applied and it was resolved, it was agreed. Therefore, cannot take it back to the committee. Except if there is strong objection in this house where the majority of councillors are saying we take it back. But we cannot take it back on the basis of one councillor saying that we should not pass the resolution. We pass our resolution through consensus and the majority.
Okay. Yes. Can I just get, by a show of hands, an indication of those councillors who support Councillor Moyo? 1, 2, 3. It does not appear as if you have that support, Councillor. Well, my understanding is that you want to oppose the resolution. My reading is that there was a resolution to rescind the original council decision on NRZ. The relevant committee discussed it and they decided not to rescind. Right?
It was resigned.
That's the factual position. And if I understand you correctly, you now want to challenge that decision of the committee.
No. It's and 7. There are individual crimes. It's Revival and Swiss, if I'm not mistaken. They are applied to rank on specific spaces in the CBD. Whereas the motion, the basis of the motion, why it was rescinded, it was to promote and protect equity as the legislative rank to house such buses. So I was saying there's a contradiction in our approach. If we are saying equity is the rank that will house AMA buses, which are intercity and cross-border, why then are we approving other buses to rank elsewhere?
I understand that. I totally understand your argument, but the problem that we face procedurally is that the relevant committee has already debated that issue. And passed its resolution, which is now brought to us. And so we are simply, what you are seeking to do is to reopen debate on that issue. Am I correct in this? My interpretation of what I'm saying?
Yeah, you are correct. The first mistake we did was to allow him to debate because we were already passed.
No, but he would have been entitled to debate that.
Yeah, earlier on, yes. Because he's now confusing issues. He's now saying he's supporting the motion which was passed at committee level, but at the same time we want to vary the other recommendation from the committee, which is what as the committee we are against.
And so what I was doing, Councillor, was just to get some indication
yes.
of if you brought a resolution, would it be supported here? And it appears to me that it would not be, that you are in a minority. I understand your arguments, but I don't believe that. If you want to put a formal resolution, we can put it to a vote, but I think you can see it's not going to be carried. So can we move on? Thank you. Can we move the report? Report to general purposes.
Thank you, Worship. Thank you. I move that the report of the General Purposes Committee, meeting held on the 21st of October 2024, as submitted, be received and the various recommendations contained therein be adopted. Thank you.
Second. Thank you. Any debates? Any debates? No debates? Move the report? Report is moved.
No. No, they are ends.
Any notification of that? Of the council?
Item 9. It's a request and a recommendation also, based on the precedents that we set as this council, an agreement that we had in our caucus as council, to say that we need to promote every councillor to have information and experience and exposure in whatever trips that we might be having. So I feel there's a trip here which invites, I think it's under the Department of Engineering. I have a recommendation in your worship. It's a precedence that you set, if you recall, when we had the audit committee visiting Victoria Falls. I would like to recommend that our chairperson of the engineering committee be accompanied by the chairperson of the engineering committee, so that we promote the spirit of learning and capacitating each other. I feel like this invitation is not limited specifically to one person. It's a precedence we set it that we need to have exposure. If we're in another platform, we're going to diligently ask our chairperson. I sit in the engineering department to at least rest and allow others to go, but because he's the chairperson, accompanied by the deputy chairperson.
So let me interject. Thank you, Councillor. This invitation is from the. My understanding is that this invitation is from the Institute of Engineers, and in most of these professional societies and institutes, they restrict their attendance to people who are members of the institute. So, if I'm correct in that. You have the floor, Councillor.
No. But the chairperson is an engineer.
That the resolution here talks about paying registration fees. So it means that if we take the vice chair, it will not be in problem. Just look at what was recommended here, Your Worship. So it will not mean that it's subject to engineers. But if you look at the data again, it says the conference brings together policy makers, practitioners, and researchers. It does not confine it to practitioners of engineering.
Vakasivaleli Nkosi.
Just by way of clarification, Councillor Siketi, you are a registered engineer.
Yes.
Councillor, Councillor, you are going to take us through by raising these issues. But am I correctly, sorry, can we just have order? Am I not correct that this is restricted to engineers? Councillor, you...
I'm not sure, Your Worship. I just found it. Maybe we'll talk about it in the counselling committee, if you don't mind.
Let's move it to committee.
Thank you.
Are you sure?
Whether you are not registered.
Is there any notification of need? I'm told that Councillor Mpumelelo Moyo is on leave from the, he says, the 25th of October until further notice, whatever that means. Is there any other notification of leave? No. We are adjourned.
So right, Belan.
We are adjourned.
Uyasitshotsho mla kanjani?